Hey, on this special episode of Samp&Chance, what a better way to start 2024 interview season with the one and only Fritz, the Whip Vanderpool, Canadian boxing legend. Guys, if you want to find out all the details on this, all the stories, all the things surrounding this individual, you got to tune into the show. Samp&Chance, here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a very special episode of Samp&Chance. Guys, it's 2024. This is the first interview of the season, and we are blessed and privileged to have with us Fritz the Whip Vanderpool, Canadian boxing, six-time boxing champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Fritz Vanderpool. Fritz, how are you, sir?
Doing great, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. It's an honor.
No, it's a privilege. Thank you so much, sir. We're Samp&Chance. We do a boxing podcast out here out of Vancouver. And in the last little while, we've started this whole segment about Canadian boxing history. And it's amazing what we have in this country. And we feel that we don't have enough recognition for the stars and the future stars that are coming out of this country. And the history is rich. Fritz, how did you get into the boxing? I know that you were born in Trinidad and your whole family was involved in boxing from an early age. How did that happen?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you asked that question because it was just asked of me earlier today about 2 hours ago. And so I come from a family of 5 boys, but my oldest brother, I'm the middle child. So my oldest brother was getting picked on as a kid when we came up to this country, up to Kitchener-Waterloo from Trinidad and Tobago. So my oldest brother was a skinny kid. He was getting picked on as a kid. So he came home and said, Dad, I'm getting picked on. So my dad said, listen, well, I got to take you to the boxing club so you can learn how to defend yourself. Now, that being said, my father was a marathon runner and a jockey. So boxing wasn't in the sport. But the thing was, he loved Muhammad Ali. He watched Muhammad Ali. He loved Muhammad Ali. And he said, hey, you know what? Boxing's the way. I got to take you to the gym to be able to learn how to defend yourself. And, he eventually took my brothers and we all eventually ended up going to the gym and learning how to box. So, interesting enough, like I said, I'm the middle child. So I have 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers. And I come from a boxing family. All 5 boys did box. And what the story is actually is my oldest brother, he was a southpaw. He had quick hands. He was slick. My next older brother, he had fast hands, fast feet. So he could get this combination, get out of trouble. Then there's myself. Then my next younger brother, he had heavy hands. He'd be hitting you, boom, boom. He'd knock guys out. Hitting them, boom, knock them. But he had power.
Or you've muted yourself. Sorry, Fitz, you've muted your phone.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, we have a little bit of everybody in this repertoire. So then there was my middle. I didn't have, any special power, any speed, nothing like that. But I just kept working, kept coming at you, kept working at it, right? So, an interesting question, was that I had asked. I sat there and I kept saying, "Okay, God, why did you choose me of the 5 boys to be the one to win all these belts?" Because as you know, there's 7 belts in my family. I own 6 of the belts. My one youngest brother, Sid, owns 1 of the belts. So there's 7 belts in my family. So I kept saying, well, God, why did you choose me to be the one to win all these belts? And then I know Emmett Smith, the football player, he had a saying. He said, all men are created equal. All men are created equal. Some work harder in preseason. And I thought to myself, you know what? I thought back to my career growing up, with me and my brothers training and stuff. And I thought, you know what? I said, this makes sense because I worked hard. I kept working hard. Hard work is all I need. But at this point in my life, I want to put some of my smart work as well into play. I'm working hard. I will work hard, and I do work hard, but I'm gonna put some smart work into play. So, so yeah, so I saw, that all the hard work is what helped me get those belts. Just it was just a matter of, some people are average, some want to be above average. Some are happy with what they've done, what they've accomplished in life. Others of us want to accomplish more. I remember when I had 2 belts, I wanted 3. When I had 3 belts, I wanted 4. When I had 4, so forth online. Now, at this point, I'm sitting here with 6 belts. 2013, 11 years ago, I became the oldest Canadian boxing champion in history, succeeding our boxing legend icon, George Chuvalo. I became the oldest Canadian champion. And that was pretty amazing and incredible myself, because nobody would have ever dreamt or thought that I could ever accomplish such thing, or that I would be in that position. Yeah. I didn't think I would be there. I didn't think myself. But that being said, I've got 6 belts and there are 7 days in a week. So one day I don't have a belt to wear. Just kind of, I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Now, if I ask my son, I'll say, son, what do you think, right? My son would say, well, Dad, you know what? You already got 6 belts. You're the oldest Canadian champion. You've done your tour in the ring. So that's when I take a step back, because he's the one with the reasoning. I'll take a step back and say, you know what? You got a great point, son. You know what? I've done a lot in boxing already. I've got those 6 belts, the oldest Canadian boxing champion. I'm in a couple of Hall of Fames. My work is done in the ring.
Absolutely. Now, just to go back to 2013, if I can, very quickly, just came into my mind. You did an interview just before that fight, and the reporter asked you, why do you think, what is the reasoning behind this? Why are you going after a title after this time off? And you said, because I can. So 10 years later, is that still the same, or has it changed a little bit with experience now when you look at the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, for me to want to go back into the ring now, it's not really one of my goals. It's not something that I have. I mean, it's like I said to you, when I won my 2nd title, I wanted a 3rd title. When I won the 3rd, I wanted a 4th. I've got 6 belts. My titles are not done. I don't rest on my accolades. I've done that. Yes, I'm the oldest Canadian boxing champion. I don't rest on my accolades. You may want to bring me back. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something right now. There's something big that's right now in God's plan, and it's going to be happening in the next 3 weeks. I'm excited about it. What I find when I go through life and I, accomplish goals, chase my dreams, start, achieving things, you'll find that you'll have haters. You have haters, people who don't like you, who don't want to see you succeed. People say they want to see you do good, but not better than them. They want to see you do well, but not more well than them. You want to see you succeed, but not succeed more or achieve more than them. And, I know that people are going to be envious, and, there's going to be more jealousy, more hating going on. I mean, if you're not doing nothing, if you're not doing something good, something successful, you're not going to have haters. If you have haters, you're doing something. You're making things happen in this world. For me, what I'm going to embark upon in the next 3 weeks is going to be a life-changing thing for me. And I'm going to use it and utilize it to the best of my ability. It has been 30 years in the making. I remember when I fought in 1992, when I was trying to go for Barcelona, Spain. I fought the then Canadian champion, Mark Leduc. I fought him 7 times. So the first 6 times that I fought him, from 1989 to 1992, I lost to him 6 times in a row. Now, some people would say, okay, well, listen, in baseball, there's strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, or out. Listen, you lost them 4 times, 5 times, 6. Why do you keep going? I say, because I know in my heart, in my mind, that I can beat this guy, and I'm winning some of these fights. So finally, this 7th time, 1992, Barcelona, Spain, Olympic trials, I beat him the first time. The 7th fight, I was like, I had my hands raised like this. They said, the winner, Fritz, Vanderpool. I'm like this. I'm like, oh my Lord, is this really happening? I'm like, the 7th time I finally beat him. Now, most people would have quit after 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, whatever. quitting is not in my DNA. I'm not a quitter. I kept on, like I said, I won the 7th fight. And then they said, after I was getting out of the ring, they said the champion has to beat the challenger has to beat the champion twice in order to go to the Olympics. And that 2nd fight, you know, I mean, I know I won 2 of the 3 rounds, but he had so many points because of the computer scoring system that he outpointed me. So he went to the Olympics. Now I can understand that because I mean they spent the last 4 years sending him on like 4 or 5 trips around to Cuba, to Jamaica, to England, to different parts of the States. You know, so they had invested a lot of money in him, and they didn't want some guy coming in to beat him without that, you know, international experience to represent Canada. Plus, the big thing I know that they said was that, you know, I mean, Mark Leduc, God rest his soul, that he's got strawberry hair and freckle face, and he looks like a Canadian. He can represent Canada. He looks like a Canadian, whereas I guess I don't necessarily look like a Canadian, what they consider a Canadian. So, all things being said, that aside, you know what? I did the best I could in the situation I had. You know, I did come through and finally show that I was not going to give up and finally beat him. And then, yeah, the rest is history. You know, went on to turn pro, you know, knowing that I had to take destiny in my own hands and control what was going on. So I turned pro in 1993, January 1993, with Goody Petronelli, God rest his soul, in Boston, Massachusetts, which is where the great Marvin Hagler was trained by Goody Petronelli.
Wow.
So I turned pro in Boston with my younger brother, Sid Vanderpool, because he was a southpaw and so was Marvin Hagler. So that's why my brother sourced out Goody Petronelli as his trainer to manage his career. And, you know, I spent my first 6 fights I spent in Boston with Goody. And after my 6th fight, I had option of buying out my contract because I believe I was 4-1 going into a fight against Reggie Showtime Green in Atlantic City. He was one of the top ranked fighters. And I fought Reggie. I was 4-0. Reggie was I believe 6-0. And I fought him a 4-rounder, and he got a split decision. But what happened in that fight was I had knocked him off his feet. I hit him so hard, I knocked him out on his feet. And when I say that, he was out like this, and then I went back and I hit him and I woke him up. I hit him back to the head and I woke him up. Whereas I didn't know any better to go to the body, because when you hit to the body, you deflate the balloon, you take the air out of him, and he goes over and doubles down. But I hit him back to the head and I woke him up. And I'm like, man. But long story short, that was the only damage done in the fight was me hurting him like that. Went to the decision. He got the decision. And then so I had one kink in my career. And I eventually left Boston, came back home because I found that I wasn't getting the proper work necessary for me to excel as a professional. So the option I had was at 26, the option I had was either I'd sit out for 2.5 years of my contract, or I could buy my contract and continue fighting, go back to Canada and continue fighting. So me believing in myself, knowing that with hope is possible, bought my contract and came back to Canada and started training with my trainer, Joe Hatchell Sr. The two of us set on this journey to become champions. Now it was a long shot because I was self-managed, self-financed, self-promoted. I had my trainer, Joe Hatchell Sr., who was with me. He believed in me. I believed in myself. He believed in me. The two of us were set to go out there and blaze a trail like I'd never been blazed before. You know, there was no trail blaze. So we were set to go out there and blaze a trail and leave breadcrumbs as to where we came from and how we got there, so others could do the same.
Fritz, who inspired you growing up as a boxer when you were growing up that made you want to fight like them, or who did you try to emulate, if anybody?
You know what? It was Sugar Ray Leonard.
Nice.
Sugar Ray Leonard, it's my man. I mean, I remember my pro debut. I was in there like Sugar Ray. I was like, and I was like, I'm like, you know, I just Yeah, sure is my man. I just loved him. He was good looking. He's charismatic. He was fast. He could box. I'm like, so you see, that's what me and Sure have in common. You know what I'm saying?
I like that. You're much better looking than Sugar Ray. Don't worry.
All right.
And you look like you're in better shape than Sugar Ray too. So
Yeah. Well, like I said, I always get that question. Like why are you in such good shape? I think, you know what?
Mhm.
I have to take care of myself. My body's a vessel. A lot of times, like I think what happens with a lot of people is that they're average. They do things for a certain time. They get to a certain point in their life. They achieve certain goals, and then they stop.
Yeah.
You can't stop. You have to. I always keep setting goals and keep achieving. And you'll understand what I'm saying in the next 3 weeks. You may want me back when you see what happens. When
Absolutely.
in the next 3 weeks, it'll be a whole different thing. You'll be talking to a whole different person. But that being said, I don't rest on my laurels. Yes, I did what I did. I've accomplished what I've accomplished. That's fine. That was then. I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I have things I want to do still. I have to look good. I have to represent what I want my students to be like. I just noticed it was actually it was 1989. 1989, I had my first coaching certification. That's 35 years ago. 35 years ago, I knew where I wanted to be, that I wanted to teach other boxers life lessons and life skills through boxing. I've had my own gym here for 22 years now in the city. Most fighters, as you well see and know, most fighters, when they're done their boxing career, then they say, what am I gonna do? I gotta do something in my life. Oh, maybe I'll open a boxing club. Maybe I'll coach fighters how to do what I did. So they've got like maybe 15 years in the bank now. I've got 35 because I knew what I was destined to do. I knew what I wanted to do. I already have my life planned out that way.
when it comes to training fighters now, like from when you were being trained to how you train, how much has changed in terms of your style or your principles or the techniques?
Well, a lot of the fighters coming in now, like, I mean, I watch them work and they don't have, the work ethic that I have. They don't train as hard as I train. But, and I'm not going to make excuses for them, but, because I think right now, this generation is a whole different thing than when I was growing up. How we had to fight for what we wanted. Back when I was growing up, we had one gym in the city. Now we've got like, I don't know, about three or four gyms in the city. So these guys can kind of pick and choose what they want to do, sort of thing, so to speak, right? But I mean, back in my day, we had one gym. I remember I had quit boxing for 4 years. So I quit boxing from 84 to 88. In between that time, that was at the Waterloo Boxing Club with Arnie Beam, God rest his soul. And I remember after watching the 88 Olympics on TV, I had my foot on watching the 88 Olympics. I said, Dar, Lennox, Luce, all those guys. I said, those are all my boys. I should be there with those guys for the Olympics here. And I wasn't. So I said, I want to come back. So I came back in 1989. When I came back in 1989 to the gym, now, Arnie had a lot of good fighters there. You had the Chris Johnson, Greg Johnson, a couple of other guys, and he was working with them, training with those guys. While I was off for those 4 years, those guys were in the gym training. So when I went back to his gym, and I started to train, I was, hitting the bag. I must have sat there for about 4 or 5 months. I walk in, I say, hey, coach, how you doing? I, say hi, go and get changed, put my wraps on, hit the bag, do some skipping, do some shadow boxing. After the workout was done, I said, bye, coach, left. I did this for 4 or 5 months. He never worked with me. He never looked at me. And I understand that because, because the other fighters were there while I wasn't there. And he probably thought that I might quit again. Yeah. So understandable, but I just diligently kept doing my stuff, kept banging away. Then this trainer was there, Joe Hajno Sr. His mate Jacksonville, but he had a layover in Kitchener. So he was in the gym and he watched me every day. And he's like, this kid's, for 4 or 5 months coming in, hitting the bag diligently, just, shot boxing, doing his work, and then going back out, hitting the bag. And I just, it was a thing like when I'm in the gym, when a 1 minute round goes rest, 1 minute rest, I'll rest. When the bell goes ding, I'm back punching the bag. Whereas I know it's the guys now, they'll be sitting there talking. So the bell went ding, ding, and they're still sitting there talking. No, you're in the gym to work. That's what I put my all into it. You know. And
Fritz, how'd you come up with the name Whip? I think that's one of the coolest nicknames in boxing. Explain how that came about, because I love that nickname.
well, as you know, okay, let me tip this a little higher for you. So, as you know, it's right with hope is possible, right?
Yeah.
That's Whip. Okay. So the nickname the Whip, it came up for a fight that I had in 1989. When I came back, I was fighting this youngster from Kingston, Ontario, and I hit him with my right hand, and I knocked him out. And it was, like I said, we're amateur, right? So we got the big, we got the gloves, 10-ounce gloves, we got the headgear and stuff. Boom, he was up for 5 or 10 minutes. They're waking him up, doctors coming in. So after the fight, when I left the ring, I stepped out of the ring. This former professional boxer was there. And he said to me, he goes, man, when I got down to the bottom of the stairs, the fighter says to me, he goes, man, he says, you really whipped that punch. He said, you whipped that punch. And I said, really? Oh yeah. I said, so then I started going, yeah, I did whip the punch. I did whip that punch, didn't I? And I said, so I go, the whip. And then, the name came in. Then the whip started sticking. I remember when I was fighting on CBC Sports TV, they say, Fritz, they'll whip Vanderpool. And I'm hitting the way these guys to whip. Now, what I want to say, I don't want to leave out the professional fighter who gave me that nickname, the Whip, because he just passed away a few months ago. Was trainer and coach Everton McEwen. And Everton was also in my corner when I won the WBF World Title in Toronto. He was also one of my coaches in my corner when I won the title that fight. So, as I was telling his wife and his daughter and his son, I said, listen, you know what? I mean, that man gave me that name. So the Whip, and then the acronym for With Hope It's Possible, that came a little after. So I said, okay, well, Whip. So then, then With Hope It's Possible came up. And it's so powerful that what I do now, and you'll catch on later, what I do now is that, when I talk to little youngsters at schools and stuff, and I let them know that if they have a goal, they have a dream, something they want to accomplish in life, that with hope it's possible. They can accomplish those goals. Now, I know people try to say, oh, with hope, anything's possible. No, anything's not possible. I can't do anything. I can't be anything. But if I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a professional boxing champion, I can be those things. Because with hope, it's possible. I'm willing to put the hard work into it, make the dedication, make the sacrifices to be successful. And yes, with hope, it is possible.
Yeah. I love that name. Sounds awesome.
Do you feel that in today's generation that they don't really believe, like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is, with today's generation and, the youth of today, that everything is expected. They almost feel like they're entitled to everything, and the work doesn't have to be put in, or they think they only have to put a little bit of work in to get where they want to go. How do you deal with that with the boxers in your gym, if you have to deal with that?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely there. I mean, these young guys, they come in, and the thing is too, like, I'm blessed in such a way that I can put on the gloves with my guys and get in the ring and show them, what it is I'm trying to tell them about. Because sometimes I'll be like, okay, guys, you got to use your jab. Your jab dictates everything. You got to keep that jab out there. Keep it like a radar. Keep the guy at that distance right there. And they're looking at me like, but I can't, coach. And hold on a sec. First of all, you don't say can't in my gym. That's a bad word. You don't say you can't. You can. Okay. And then so I'll put on the gloves and I'll get in front of my guys and I'll show them, like, here you go, guys. This is what you got to do. They're like, oh. I said, yeah, you see what happens when I'm throwing the jab? He's either on the defense or he's not out there outside that radar. He's not coming in. That's what the jab does. It sets everything up. But everybody's so worried about trying to hit the home run punch that they forget the jab is what needs to set everything up. So, yeah, and it's entitlement. I mean, this new generation, they don't work as hard as we did back in the day. And that's evident. Like I said, I watch them too, and I'm watching the guys, and I'm saying you're doing different drills on the bag, and I'm doing a drill, and I'm telling the guys, okay, you're throwing 1, 2, so you go, it's 1, 2 like this, right? I said, no, it's like this, 1, 2. You see my hand fully extending? That's how it's done. But these kids are going like this. And they think they're so fast. I'm like, you're fast, you're doing half the work.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get the results you're looking for.
It almost feels like they don't want to learn the basics. They just want to go straight to the dance.
Straight to the dance. They want to get right there. They want to win a championship right away, right there. Can I get in a big fight? It's funny because a lot of kids that come in the gym too, and the first thing they're like, oh, well, how do you train boxing in your gym? Yeah, I train boxing. This is boxing, not ballet. Oh, well, I want to be able to come in and spar. I said, well, it's a process. It's a process. You don't just come in the gym and jump in the ring, start sparring. It's a process. You got to follow the process. Once you get to that point, if you're still here, then we'll take it to the next level from there. You know, but everybody wants to spar right away. They want to spar. Like, you're gonna get hurt.
Yeah. No, 100%. My father was an amateur boxer back in the day, and he trained me a little bit. But before I could even throw a punch, I had to prove to him that I could run 5 miles without stopping.
Okay. Well,
Right.
you know, and that's one of the biggest things in boxing, and people don't understand. These young people don't understand. It's conditioning. You need to be conditioned.
Yeah.
If you're a fine-tuned machine, you're conditioned. Whether your skills are not that great, but if you can just keep punching the whole time for the whole 2 minutes of a round, there's a good chance you're going to win.
Absolutely.
You know, because the skill is one thing, but the will is greater than the skill. The will is greater than the skill. I don't care what people want to say. You can say however you want. The will is, if I'm willing to win and you're skilling to win, your skills will only take you so far. My will take me the rest of the way to the finish line.
Fritz, who were some of your toughest opponents you fought in the ring?
Okay, one of my toughest fights was actually when I fought Tony Badillo, Tony the Bad Boy Badillo, for the Canadian title in 1996.
That fight this morning.
What's that?
I watched that fight this morning.
Yeah. So let me tell you why. Because I mean, I won the fight, but the reason why the fight was tough was because I had fought Charles the Natural Murray in July, July before. So I fought Charles the Natural Murray in 1995, and Charles is the former IBF. He's a former IBF world champion. He knocked me down in the 6th round of that fight. And during that fight, what happened was my oldest brother was in the front row watching the fight. And when Charles kept cracking, because I kept throwing the jab and I dropped in the jab. So he kept coming to the top with his right hand. And he finally, like an egg, cracked me coming the 6th round. And, you know, I went down and then I got back up. And when I got back up, I remember my brother who was in the front row was in the ring holding me. And I'm like, what are you doing in the ring? I thought you were in the front row. So, of course, there's too many men in the ring, so the referee stops the fight. So after that fight, I was advised by my family, my brothers, to quit boxing. Now, you know, some people ask me and say, well, listen, you know, maybe they were concerned for your health, maybe they didn't want to see you get hurt, da-da-da. Now, if you quit, you'll never know if you could have finished, if you could have done what it was necessary to be done. I don't tell my fighters, you know, to quit. I encourage them to keep going. Don't quit. Don't quit. Keep going. Push on. Push on. You know, as a fighter, you have to know, as a fighter, you can't make up another professional fighter's mind when it's for him to quit. He'll know when it's to quit. You can try to say, oh, yeah, quit. But the worst thing you do, because he knows when he wants to quit. You can't tell him to quit.
Yeah.
And you know, as a guy like myself growing up, I was never a quitter. I never had quitting was not in my DNA. I always kept pushing harder. When they told me it couldn't be done, I kept working hard to show that yes, it could be done. If I put my mind to work hard, it can be accomplished. So anyway, when I was advised by family and my brothers to quit boxing, I chose not to. I came back and right away I had a title shot against Tony Badillo. Now Tony Badillo was 13-0 with 10 knockouts. Tony was knocking everybody out. I just got knocked out the fight before. They're bringing me in as a sacrificial lamb. They got knocked out by Tony. And you know what? In the first round, Tony hit me with a left hook and knocked me back on the ropes. I recovered from the rope. Thankfully, the referee came and gave me an 8 count. The whole time I'm praying, Lord, please, I got to win this fight. I told everybody back home in Kitchener, I'm going to bring the belt back. And, you know, I mean, I can see why nobody really believed me, because first of all, I got knocked out by Charles Murray, and I'm fighting this knockout artist now. But there never been a belt brought back to the city before. So nobody has seen it done. And they were going, well, why this guy just got knocked out? Why is he going to bring this belt back? It's not going to happen. So I can understand why they didn't believe me when I said I was going to do it. But I trained hard. My timing and preparation created the opportunity for me to become champion. I trained hard. My Papa Joe Hazel Sr. trained me for the fight. Got ready. He couldn't go because of work obligations. So I took my two brothers, Sid and Keith. I brought with me to work my corner because it didn't matter. They just had to sit in the corner to give me water or put the stool for me if I wasn't wanting to sit down. And so I brought my two brothers out there in the first round. Ding ding, Actually, and so the scenario for that fight, if you watch it, was like Rocky and Drago. He was Drago. I guess I'm Rocky, but anyways, he was Drago. So, the big Romanian puncher. And so, they announced us in the ring. They said in the red corner, hey, from Kitchener, Ontario, Fritz, the Whip Vanderpool. You got my two corner guys are clapping like this. I'm like, okay. They go, and in the blue corner from Edmonton, Alberta, Tony, the bad boy. The whole place goes wild. I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you guys. Don't want to clap for me, no problem. So we get on, the fight starts. The first round hits me in left hook, boom. Partway through the round, hit me. Like I said, went flying back on the ropes, came off the ropes. Referee gave me the 8 count. I'm praying I'm going to continue on. Went on to the fight, kept pushing forward, using that jab, bang, bang, bang. Then now, as I afterwards, when I sit back and I listen to the commentary, so I went to the second round, third round. By the third round, the commentators are going, oh, well, Tony doesn't really cut himself, but he has a way of using his laces, and he must be scratching himself with his laces. Well, when you look at the gloves, our gloves were taped up. There were no laces. Yeah. So they're saying he's getting scratches on his face from his gloves, from laces. There were no laces. Okay, now come the fourth round, there's a cut on this side, start bruising, and some on this side. Well, Vanderpool's not really a big puncher. Well, where are these things coming from in his face? Yeah. Then finally come the sixth round when I caught him. That's when the whip came into play. Hit it with the whip, and I just jumped. Up on the ropes. Come back, and thankfully the referee stepped in and stopped the fight. And I missed my last 2 punches I threw at him. But thankfully the referee stepped in and stopped the fight. Tony, he had a big cut down his face. It was just a whole bunch of blood down here. I did what I had to do to win the fight. 6th round, the fight was stopped. The referee comes in, puts the belts around my waist, and I raised my hand, but I still couldn't believe I won the fight because I wasn't supposed to. I still had not absorbed that. So it wasn't until that night when I left the venue, I had the belts around my waist. I left the venue, I stepped outside, the fresh air hit me. I'm like, I felt for the belt. I said, I'm not dreaming. This is real. I said, wow, I am the champion. I'm like, anyway, it's just so amazing. Amazing how the belt on my waist.
That's awesome. Fritz, how big a role does faith play in your life as a boxer, as a trainer, as a man? How big of a role does that play, and how long has that role been in your life?
Sorry,
faith. How long have you had faith in your life? How long has it played a role for you?
It's pretty well been there most of my life. I mean, my mom and dad used to take us to church when we were kids. It's always been there. You know what I mean? So we say faith without works is dead. You can sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm sitting there waiting. No, faith without works is dead. You have to work. You have to put work into it. You can have all the faith you want, but if you're not going to put the work into it, you're not going to get the results. Yeah. You have to work, right? He who sat on the sands and waiting died. You can't just sit there and wait. You have to put the work into it to get the results.
Absolutely.
100% agree. After boxing, you've done a lot of amazing things. You've done a lot of things for the youth, for the community. How did that happen for you? Was that something you wanted to do after boxing, or was that something that just kind of fell in your lap and kind of guided you?
I think it was all part of God's plan.
Okay.
All of what you've seen, I've been doing, and I'll be honest. I'll say it because nobody else wants to say. Nobody else to say. But listen, and I'm the only one that does the stuff that I do as I do. Because, you know, I mean, like I said, we're just putting something together now, because I mean, we did the food drive, Christmas time, we did the food drive. I'm the ambassador, I'm the toy drive ambassador for the largest toy drive in Southwestern Ontario. So I'm also the Pan-African Caribbean ambassador. I'm the another ambassador for that. I've got several ambassadorships, right? But you know what? It's interesting. I don't see other fighters out there doing that, but that's okay, because what I realize is that my job, my destiny here, my purpose here right now in life was not to be a boxer. I mean, I got lucky. I worked hard and I got lucky in winning 6 belts, but my job here on earth was not to be a boxer. So that being said, yeah, I've got I've got a summer camp that I run with. We just finished we're going into our 12th year with summer camp. We've sent over 60, 70 kids for a free week of summer camp with a world champ.
Awesome.
Cool.
You know, these are things that I don't get TV coverage. I don't get exposure with it, but you know what? That's okay. I'm all right with that, because, you know, that's not what it's about for me. I mean, if I were to get help and get TV coverage and exposure, I could probably send more kids, make a difference in more kids' lives. But that's okay. I'll do what I can. I'll do what I got to do right now, you know, to make these things happen.
You're very inspirational. Even hearing you talk in an interview, I could feel the passion when you speak about everything you do. So I'm glad you're out there in Ontario helping the youth, because you're very inspirational. They can learn from your stories. So I can feel it through the camera, your inspiration, you know what I mean? So you're a natural for it.
Well, and so you understand. You're okay. You're good. You're good. Okay. So, well, check this out. So I've got this one young kid, and you know, I haven't really said nothing. So I don't know if this youngster might even see it, but I've got this one young kid and young teenager, and he's got a mother and a father, but they're separated, and so it's weighed really heavy on this young kid, and he doesn't like going to school. He doesn't like school. He doesn't like Even at home, it's tough for him. When he comes to the gym, he smiles. His face lights up. Smile. Gives me a big hug. He's like, he's happy. You know, and I don't want to talk a lot about what the situation, but I know that God brought this.
Yeah.
You know, brought us into our life, and I'm gonna do my best to help guide this youngster, because you know, some people say, well, you know what, I got a mother and a father and they're fighting. I said, but listen, see this kid over here? He doesn't have mother or a father.
Yeah.
So no matter how bad your situation gets, somebody else has it worse, or it could be worse. So, you know, I mean, I look at even at my gym, as I'm looking right now at my canvas, my ring canvas on the floor. I'd be embarrassed to show you guys, but it's torn up. It's in pieces. My guys are tripping on this when they're sparring. But over the Christmas holidays, I was doing a food drive, delivering toys to kids around the community. I was playing Santa Whip, so I was delivering kids toys.
Santa Whip, I like that.
I love it, man. I saw some of it on Instagram. Very cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so, you know, but instead I've got this stuff here in the gym to look after. I need a canvas for the guys to spar, which I have to look at, you know, either today or tomorrow to get this thing done. But, you know, getting back to the Santa Whip thing, I mean, that was an amazing part for me doing that, because that kind of fell into my lap. So it was this one young lady who needed some toys for her grandkids, and she knows I'm the ambassador for the toy drive. So she said, you know, Fitz, can you get some toys for my grandkids? And I said, sure, I'll reach out to Knights of Columbus, and, you know, I'm sure they'll get us some toys. So I asked the Knights of Columbus, they got the toys. Then she contacted me back, and she says, I said, the toys are ready. She said, well, can you drop them off? I'm like, okay, sure. I said, who am I to say no? I mean, you know, sure, I'll drop them off. So, you know, I did that, and this was our 3rd year. And, you know, just having the kids in some of the videos, I don't know if you saw the video, but just some of those kids, 3 years, 4 years, running up, come up, Santa, they look in their face, the joy in their eyes. Like, you can't put a price on that stuff, man.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got 6 belts that I've won world championship. You know what? You can't put a price on the excitement of those kids' face. Kind of say, I thought, I mean, they're gonna remember that forever.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to point out though is that society has programmed us in such a way to see how things are or to think how things are. Now, when I say Santa Claus, what do you see? When I say Santa Claus to you, what do you see?
Red suit.
Red suit,
beard.
white beard. Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. So you know what? I had my red suit. I ain't got no white beard. I ain't Johnny. I wasn't fat. You know what I'm saying? So, but hey,
It's a symbolism.
Sorry?
It's a symbolism.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's what we get programmed to that, right? We get programmed to those things. That's what the media and society programmed us to think that this is how things are supposed to be.
Mhm.
Now, if we can get past that, it's not. It's what we make of it, right? Because a lot of times in situations, it's not what happens to you in a situation, it's how you handle that situation that determines the outcome.
Absolutely.
So, so you may choose to say, oh, hey, you know what? I had a bad day. I woke up this morning. I came to the gym. I fell over it. I said, listen, you woke up this morning. You know how many people did not wake up?
Yeah.
You were doing much better than them.
Yeah.
So
true.
yes,
No, we're also very firm believers of that philosophy. You have to put the work in to get anything you want. We always say that no one deserves anything. If you want it, you have to earn it. You have to put the work in. Life isn't easy, and if it was easy, we'd all be driving Ferraris.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how do you look at today's boxing scene? Do you follow it much, the current scene? Are you impressed by what you're seeing, or do you think it could be better?
Well, I do follow it. I mean, there's not. I mean, there's a couple of fighters that I like. But it's tough though because right now it's all dollars and cents. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense, right? With these guys, sometimes when they do the matchups for the fights. So, it's interesting. I mean, it's not, the same as it was, 10, 15 years ago. Even like, I mean, the biggest clown part of it, the circus part of it is the heavyweight division. I mean, you got Francis Ngannou, who just, went the distance with Tyson Fury, and then now I think Ngannou is gonna fight. Is set to fight Anthony Joshua.
Joshua March 9th.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's second pro fight. Ngannou's second pro. And he's making more than some of these poor guys never made before, who've been professionals, career fighters for years, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure a guy like Joe Frazier, God rest his soul, is turning in his grave. He sat here as heavyweight champion, finally did it, all these guys, and he didn't make near enough money. And you got a guy like Francis Ngannou coming in for a second pro fight, making X amount of $1 million.
Yeah.
Like, and because a guy like Joe Frazier, he helped make Muhammad Ali who Muhammad Ali is. Right, Ali, Ali with beating the monkey. Oh, look at you, George. Or sorry, Joe Frazier. Right? Look at you, Joe. And then I heard like even Joe Frazier ended up he didn't even have his own place. I think he was living in the basement of a gym, or living upstairs. Right. So when it gets to things like that, these guys are so poor at the end of it all, and they have nothing. That's just a shame.
Mhm.
So.
Who are some of the fighters that you enjoy watching today? If you have a few guys you could name so the audience knows who you're interested in, or up and comers or current champs or anything.
You know what? I mean, Crawford's a good little fighter. I like Haney because he's a young kid doing a lot of good things. Now, mind you, they want to debate his last fight, but Haney's a good little fighter too as well. No, not a whole lot of other ones, but I mean, that class, I mean, well, then you also got Tank, right?
Yeah.
I like Tank too. I mean, none of them are complete from A to Z, but they have a lot of good skills, qualities, power, and yeah, good things to watch from, right? Some of these kids, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And not to put you on the spot, but within Canada, who do you see emerging?
I don't. Yeah, you put me on the spot because I'm not really
Yeah.
that much up on a lot of the guys around, so. But I'm going to have to take a bigger interest and start to see who's out there more, right?
Cool.
I mean, there are a lot of as time goes on, I see there are a lot of good young fighters coming up. But the thing is, can they endure? Can they, everybody wants to go get to that destination, but there's a journey. You have to be strong to endure to make it through the journey. It's not the destination. You got to get through the journey to get to that end point. And a lot of fighters will not have that magnitude to get to the end line. I mean, they may say, "Oh yeah, I'm good," and I see a lot of guys that are skilled. They're skilled, but I watched them and I'm going, "Okay, this guy had more skills than I did. Why doesn't he have a 6 belt? This guy had more. Where did he drop off long? Where did he fall apart? You know what I mean?" And I know that I had the strength to endure what was coming at me, and I wasn't going to let my journey come short of getting to the destination.
Fair enough.
So
Fair enough.
I was plugged through.
All right. Fritz, we do this thing on the show called Chance's top 5. He's going to shoot off 5 names to you. Instant reaction, if you could, sir.
Oh snap!
Okay, from Ontario, Steve Molitor.
IBF world champion.
Yeah. Tyson Fury.
Heavyweight champion.
Muhammad Ali.
The greatest of all time.
Arturo Thunder Gotti.
He was a warrior, man. Warrior, my friend.
And one more, Roy Jones Jr.
Great fighter, speed, skills. Love him. Love Roy Jones.
Nice.
I'm going to throw one in just for my own benefit. Marvin Hagler.
One of the greatest. He was a tough fighter who never gave up. Warrior.
Absolutely.
And I used to go to the Hall of Fame, and I used to see Marvin every year. We'd sit down, we'd hang out, we'd talk. And it was amazing. Just thinking that as a kid, I watched Marvin Hagler fight Sugar Ray Leonard. With my dad and everybody, and my dad loved Marvin. And just to think that I was, I'd go to the Hall of Fame every year, and me and Marvin would hang out. It was so cool.
That's cool.
Just a dream.
I would love to have you back on just to hear the stories. Marvin's my hero. He's the reason I love boxing. That's why I asked.
Marvin's an amazing guy.
It's been an absolute honor and privilege to have you on the show with us today. But before we let you go, I have one more question. What's your message to the youth of today and to people who not just transcending boxing? What's your message to the world and to the youth of today?
My message to the world youth is really basically this. I mean, I'm going to tell them right now, I'm going to leave them with the secret to success, what the secret to success is. And the secret to success is hard work. Okay. You have to believe in yourself. If you have a goal, you have a dream, something in life that you want to accomplish, just believe and know that it can be accomplished with hard work. So you have to dedicate yourself, make the sacrifices, and you can accomplish whatever it is you put your mind to. Because with hope, it's possible.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on. You're not only inspiring the kids, but you're inspiring us. Like I said before, I can feel the way you talk. It's very inspirational, motivational. Thank you.
And perhaps maybe in 3 to 4 weeks' time, you can come back on and tell us all about the big announcement.
Yeah.
We would love if you told us right now, but we'll wait for 3 weeks.
My man's already feeling it. You feel it right now.
I'm feeling it. Well, you come back on when you get that started and we'll talk about it. I'm looking forward to asking you about it. So thank you.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Fantastic.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
All right, guys. I'm best. Peace.
Take care.
See ya.